Hey everyone, got another video today, hopefully one that's going to be quite useful. We are going to be upgrading the Fiesta to poly bushes. So this is a sponsored video, so it's really appreciated because Godflex, who are the ones who are providing these bushes, sent these out. I was talking to them for a little while, really nice team, and they agreed to sponsor the video. So we're going to be going through the Fiesta and just going back to front and just sort of getting all these poly bushes installed. So the first step is going to be this rear beam, or the rear axle side of it on the Fiesta. We are going to do a bit of restorative work to the beam as well. I've noticed pretty much all the powder coatings come off and a bit of rust showing through, etc., especially around the bracketry. So we're going to go through, clean it all up, give it a respray, and then get these awesome poly bushes in there. So let's get going. Okay, so with this, the first sort of job on the list will be jacking the vehicle up. So we're going to get the vehicle up, we're going to get the wheels off. Once we've got the wheels off, we're probably going to undo the calipers, and then we're going to start doing a bit more disassembly work to get the rear beam off. I think it's going to be far easier to change the bushes once they're sort of once the beam is sort of off the car. I think that's going to make it a lot easier in the long run, rather than trying to change them in sort of situ. So I think the plan will be at the moment, get the beam out, and then we can do a bit more work getting it really clean and getting it properly done, and giving it a good respray, and then getting these back in there. So yeah, first plan, getting it up, getting the wheels off, getting the calipers off, and then we're going to go a bit more into detail what we're doing. Okay, so we've got the calipers off both sides. We've disconnected the handbrake from all of this area here, as well as the normal brake line, so that's all disconnected from here. This little white module here clicks onto this thing, and that holds the handbrake there, so we've disconnected that. And then the next step, if I drag my thing around, is right in behind where your axle stand would go here, your jack stand would go here. This is the block. I'm trying to light it as best as I can, but this is where your bush is here, and there's the three bolts that are part of that, mounting it to the body. In behind is this handbrake cable here, so it's the further part of it. That's hooked in behind here, so you just push and that comes out. So that's now loose, so that's no longer attached to our axle either. So it's going to be getting these three bolts. If you look at where the thing is, you'll see three bolts around it. It's going to be far easier removing that than the rest of it. Just trying to get the bolt out in situ, so you might as well just remove this whole bracket from the body. It's going to make life a lot easier. So that's the next bit, but we're also going to have to quickly disconnect the ABS, so I'll show you that as well. So when looking at the beam, this is your ABS wiring here. It comes up to this module here, so we're just going to have to unplug that, disconnect it, and that's going to allow the ABS to basically be, well, it's just disconnected then, so it's not going to be dragging or anything when we take the beam out. And then once we've got that unplugged, that it will then just be going to those front three bolts. So that's the next step. So we're going to quickly take that out, get that unplugged, and then undo those three bolts. Okay, so we have loosened off the three bolts from under here. So, sorry, the lighting isn't very great right now, hold on. Okay, so we've loosened off the 3 bolts that were under here on the bracket. So we've loosened those 3 off. They were a bit of a pig to get undone, and it was very rusty under there, which is why I'm doing this. So that's done on both sides now. So I've loosened them off, and I've done them up about 2 sort of thirds of the way. Next, I'm going to undo the shocks, which are these little cups here. So where your shock comes down in, this bolt here, that's sort of the next one to tackle now. So once we've done that, it's going to sort of loosen them off, undo the ones off the back there, and then pull these out. And the spring obviously will drop down, but we've got the jack under here, keeping the axle stand up, and that should stop it sort of firing down at the floor. I mean, most of the tension's taken out of the springs now, to be honest, so shouldn't really fire anywhere, but yeah, just keep the jack under there for safety. And it also means you don't have to sort of try and grab the axle before it falls. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these undone. Once I basically just rotate it, what's happening at the moment is those arms have come up and they're still on the body. So kind of rotate it like that and then try and put it out backwards. Got this shock. Okay. Right. Disconnect the handbrake line might be wrapped around that bit at the top. So it's sort of free. Yours is free, yeah? There we go. That is how you remove a whole rear beam. Okay, so we've got most of this off now. Unfortunately, we had to cut the bolts off here. Yeah, it looked like they'd been gnarled up by a previous owner maybe, or just at this time. They're all notched up and they had edges on them, and yeah, it wasn't going to work. So we've cut them off. I'm not too worried about getting these out just yet. I have ordered the tool for it. Unfortunately, it's a day late, so it's probably going to arrive tomorrow now, but I've set aside ample time for this. So next step is going to be cleaning these off. It looks like someone's attempted to paint them before, but it was very much a hack job, unfortunately. It's all just rubbish and thick rubbish. So we're going to clean all those up, and then we're going to clean all of this up with the angle grinder and the discs and things like that. Get all of this spotless, and then on the front faces here as well. And then we're going to spray all of this to make sure it's all nice and clean and ready to go for another few more years. So yeah, let's crack on. Hey everyone, so we are on day 2. We've been sanding down the bar. Let's try and get it in shot. So we've been sanding down the bar. It's got a real nice finish on it now. I think it's pretty much ready. We're obviously going to be painting it and priming it and doing the other bits and pieces with it. Next step is needing this. So this is our press that we're going to use to press out these bushes here. This is a pretty specific part, I think, to these, like the Mark 6s, Mark 7s, etc. But I got it on eBay. It was only about 30-40 quid, so it's not a huge amount, and I'm probably going to end up using it a lot. So next step is going to be pressing those out. We can then tidy up the last little bit at the top there, so I'll get all this sort of tidied up and ready. We can then spray all of it and then get the new bushes in. So hopefully we'll be getting those nice Godflex bushes in today. So yeah, let's crack on and get these pressed out. Okay, so this is how you set it up on the bush. So what you have here, if I slightly loosen this off, on this side, you've got a couple of different plates here. So this is the end of the bush here. This tucks up over the top. Bottom bit sits on here. And you've got this plate, which goes flat against the bush. This bit that goes over the top, then the washer, and then you do the nut up against it. So you've got those sort of three elements there, and then you've got this big cup that sort of sits over the top. And we put the bolt out as far as we can so that we can start it with the gun when it's going to sort of be the tightest. So we can put the gun on this end, an 18 on this end, and sort of drive the gun on there just to at least start it. And if this comes out too far and we can't get the gun on anymore, we can get the ratchet sort of bit on there. But it just allows us to start it off and then convert over to that. So yeah, give us a few moments and we'll have a look at that. There's the one. This one. Am I going to sound out with this end, didn't I? Yep. Okay, I'm hoping you can see it on the video. Let's have a look. If I bring that up, bring it in a bit more. So what we've done is we've put a 36mm socket here. So where we had this plate, or this plate, and then straight to here, we're finding it wasn't quite getting it in, pushing it in enough. It was pushing the middle bit, but because they've gone so soft, it was just moving the middle section through and wasn't really actually moving the bush. So we've got a 36mm socket that just about clamps around the outside and goes in. This gives us a bit more range as well, so we can get a bit more done pushing it through without it sort of running out of thread. So let's go ahead and get that on. We also greased the thread as well, just to help it out a little bit. You might. Hey! Woo! Whoop, whoop. Okay, so we've just gone over it with a degreaser, so the whole thing's now sort of prepped and ready. Like I say, it's not absolutely pristine, it's not really what we're going for. It's just got to protect it for the next couple of years, just give me a few extra years out of the car, or out of the beam at least. So it's all prepped, so we're going to get some sort of thick filler primer and just go over sort of some of the joints and things like that, sort of protect those. Go back over it again with another primer and then start spraying it. But yeah, it's looking really neat and tidy. Compared to what I did when we took it off, it was smothered in sort of surface rust and all the bits and pieces. So all that's cleaned off, it's degreased. So yeah, let's crack on and start getting the spraying done. Okay, so that is it all done. So it's all sprayed up nice and white, just to make it look a bit different. So that is that bit done. Like I said, I did a couple of time lapses there, and that was just you know, going through and just it was two great. It was a grey primer coat, two white coats of primer, 2 coats of white and then 2 coats of clear coat. So it's not as good as sort of some coatings. Like I say, I will probably go back over it again at some point. It's just to protect it over the sort of next season to get me through to the next one and kind of, like you say, keep it protected for now and just make it look a bit smarter. So next step is pressing in the new bushes. So let's go ahead and get those. Okay, so these are the nice new bushes. So these are the ones that are sent out by Godflex, and they're nice sort of, I can't remember the official name is now, it's gone off my head, but it's a nice sort of pinky colour, which I love. It's just different. But they are really, really nicely made. Really firm, really nice and smooth. I found that sort of some sort of brands, when you buy these sort of poly bushes, it feels sort of gummy. Although firm, it feels a bit gummy. These feel real nice and firm and really nicely finished off as well. It's all got nice edges on it, and you know, a nice shim through the middle as well. So really, really nice bushes. A huge thank you obviously to Godflex for sending these out. Make sure you go check them out. I have got more to come with these guys as well, which I'm really looking forward to. And I have got some new bolts for these as well. I'm not going to be using the stock ones. I mean, we cut the stock ones out anyway because they were locked up. But I've gone ahead and bought some different bolts. I bought some 12.9 heavy duty ones, simply because if this is going to be firmer, it's going to put more stress on that bolt, or at least in my mind that's how I see it. So I've gone up from the 10.9s up to the 12.9s, just to make them a bit, give them, I think, is it megapascals they rate them in, but just gives it that extra bit of you know, strength to them. So yeah, huge thank you to Godflex for sending these out. Can't wait to get them in the car and test them, so let's go ahead and get them in the car. Okay, so that is the bush in, nice and neat on this side. So did it a bit sort of ham-fisted this side, so I ended up using this plate, putting it against the end of the bush and giving it a few taps with the lump. That pretty much got it all the way in, and then we just used the tool just to get the last little bit. But it's on there, it's nice and flush, it looks super smart in there. I really like the pink against the white, just sets it apart, makes it look a bit more unique, which I like. But yeah, all in there, absolutely solid. So now it's just going to be getting the plate on. So the thicker edge here is what goes against this side. So it will end up looking like this. And then I've got these new bolts. So this is the new 12.9 bolt. I think because these are firmer, it's just going to exert more force in this area. So it's useful to have a much tougher, much tougher bolt. And then I've also got some grade, I think it's grade 12 they class it as, which is the same sort of as the 12.9, I believe. Sort of serrated edge nuts with the flange. So it's a flange sort of serrated nut. So that's going to be on that end. Bolt's going to come through. I've also got some grade 10 well, I think it's grade 10, which is sort of 10.9 washers to go on the socket cap side. And then that should be that mount all on, and then it's ready to go back up on the car. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so sorry the light's not very good, but that is the whole thing back up on there and all done. So I did most of that over time lapse just because you saw me taking it apart, and it wasn't massively exhaustive. It was just the 3 bolts on. Let's get back here. The 3 bolts on that plate there, and then the bolt there. So it wasn't massively exhaustive taking it off, other than the ABS sensor. Obviously, we did end up taking the ABS sensors off of the hubs, getting the hubs off so we could spray a little bit better. Um, but other than that, yeah, it's all done. It was pretty easy once we figured out getting those bushes in. It made sense to just tap them in a little bit first. So let's get underneath. There is the bush there. Absolutely fantastic. So I can't wait to get out on track with these, and to be honest. Um, I've heard great things, especially about Godflex and using poly bushes in the rear beam, etc. So, the rear is somewhere that needed sort of stiffening up a bit. I have also, whilst we've been under here, installed the white line rear anti-roll bar. So that's all installed. Very easy with 2 people. I can imagine it'd be a nightmare with 1. But yeah, overall, very impressed. Pretty easy job, in fairness. Took a little while because I was waiting for bolts to come through. Let's have a look at the other end. Okay. So you can see the other one up in there. So really, really can't wait to start using this. Take it out for a test drive, see how it does. But yeah, hopefully this is useful for some. Like, I went a bit OTT and sprayed up the rear beam. In theory, you could just undo the 2 big plates from the back, drop those down, undo the bolts, pull the bushes out and put them back in again. But to be honest with how stiff and stuck the original ones were, I think it's going to make a lot more sense to remove the beam and just do it with just out on the floor. I think it's just going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. And whilst it's out, might as well spray it to give it a bit of rust protection. But that's all back in, new anti-roll bar. So yeah, hopefully useful. And like I say, a massive thank you to Godflex for getting those bushes out. They look absolutely amazing in there. And like I said, I'm definitely going to be getting some mirrors under the car at the next show them off. So yeah, really nice bits of kit. So there we go, all done. See you on the next one.